Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality, and today I'm going to be flipping through one of my cute little Crayola crayon mini junk journals. I made these last year and I decided to go ahead and make them again this year because they were such a hit last year. This time I made 20 of them. Yes, I made 20, but they were so much fun, and I'm hoping that if you weren't able to pick one up last year that you are this year. And if you decide you're not going to get one, then I hope that this gives you inspiration. Stay tuned at the end of this video, or after I go through this flip through, I'm going to show you how I made it. So super cute. They all have a little chalkboard with a little crayon button that I glued on with a little apple. It is sewn together, the inside, like the inside pages to the book. There's 3 little signatures, and the tie is this really cute crayon ribbon. I also have 2 altered paper clips with pencil ribbon and ABCD, the alphabet ribbon there. So super adorable. And then I found this crayon fabric that is on the back, and then I have some rickrack along the edge there. This is about 1 inch on the spine. And then I made a little ABC charm dangle that is hooked to the pom-pom trim there. So let's just go ahead and open this. I'll try and put the link down below for the ones that I made last year. They're really pretty similar, but I did use different scrapbook papers and different vintage pages and ephemera in here as well. So we open it up here, and there's a little pocket. I found these really cute stickers on Amazon. I'll try and link anything that I can down below. In the little pocket here is one of my report cards. I made these, and I'll put the link to my website that has this so you can print them out for free if you want. But I made these for my bigger back-to-school journals, but then I decided to make them tiny to go in here. So that's in the front pocket. And then I also have this vintage flash card, or I think it's a memory card, I'm not sure. The paper back here is some fun Crayola paper. Over here I have a belly band, and that just has a playing card, vintage Monopoly playing card. Community chest, and this is a fun little apple paper that has some sparkles on it. Over here I have a little pocket or a little text spot, and there's a vintage flash card and this really fun pencil sticker. And then I have a vintage book page there. Kind of got stuck. I'll fix that. Here is a vintage milk cap. I have some border, like a teacher border of books in here. This is a little lunch sack, and so I stuck, this is a, I don't think, yeah, here's a little tuck spot. I don't have anything in there, but these are little me and my big idea letters that I had in my stash. And then in here is a little journaling card. It's got the numbers on the side. Here's a Star Student sticker and some composition paper. A ticket. This is a page from a vintage workbook. So that just opens up like that. I sewed a ruffle from the fabric that's on the back. That's there. And then here's the other side of the lunch sack. There's just a little sticker there. On this side, my mother-in-law had given me some Crayola Band-Aids, so I stuck that on the lunch sack part. Just thought that was cute. And then I found some really cool school stamps. So this one was one. There's a little star that says Super Job. There is lined paper, different colors in here. Here's another vintage book page that has words there. In the next signature, there's this really cute little cut up, like a little die cut of a little boy holding a big crayon. And I used the top part of the crayon box that has the colors and cut that out and made that a belly band. I did stitching throughout with lots of vintage trims and like pom-pom trim and ribbon and fabric and things like that. Over here is a little side pocket, and there's a Pictionary card there. Another workbook page. Here's some graph paper with a star sticker, and then on this side is another punch out, an apple punch. Here is a nameplate, little nameplate piece. There's a vintage book library, what is it called? The library card, little drawers, and my mind is going blank because I had to use these in elementary school to find books. We didn't have the internet then. Anyway, that's in there. There's some dyed paper with more stickers. There's some vintage dictionary pages. Here's some, I found some really fun washi tape, and I'll link this down below as well. That's from Amazon. There's all different kinds in it. Then I just included this little journaling card in there. I also found some fun school acrylic stamps at the scrapbook expo that I just went to. And I don't think I even showed that. I can't remember if I showed that in my video. But they're Echo Park and Cartabella, and they went along. Oh, I think I did, actually. If you want to see that haul, I'll link that down below. That was my last video. But this really cute little crayon, isn't that cute? Little crayon stamp. And then I have a vintage playing card here with a squirrel, sassy squirrel. And on the other side is some tickets. And then another little sticker says grape work. I sewed some rickrack there. There's another workbook page. And there's some Monopoly money in here, and then also this little workbook page part, little piece here. And that is a little pocket. I used another part of the crayon box as a belly band, and in this one I have this apple tag that is a chart, like a chalkboard little tag. I think I found these at Target a couple years ago in their dollar area. So I thought those were really cute. Put that in there. And then this signature has the little pockets at the top, so I put another vintage flash card in there. And then I cut off the covers to the crayons and sewed them together to make a little page. I did just one side of the page with that, and then I lined it with lined paper. So each one will have that. Now there are some of the books, just a handful, I think 5 of the books that do not have the Band-Aid because the box only came with 15. So here's a math workbook page, little red doily. This is just some fun memo paper. Another vintage workbook page. Ledger paper. And then I found a really cool stamp set, or not stamp set, but stencil set of little apples. And I'm going to be doing a little short video and make a tag, an extra tag that will go with each of these books. So you'll want to be subscribed and follow me on my shorts because I'll be making a really fun tag with this. But each of the books has one page where I stenciled the little tiny apples. I think they're so cute. There's another workbook page, a red lined page. And then the other pocket has some green Monopoly money. And then here's the last part, the inside cover of the book. And in this one has this really cute little squatty pencil that I made. I have a little die that I found on Amazon, so I'll try and link that down below, but it's super cute. I love them, little squatty pencils. Can you imagine if you had a pencil like that? Just writing with a squatty pencil is just so cute. And that is it, guys. So stick around. Right after, like literally in 2 seconds, I'm going to show you how I made these little journals. They're just super fun and super little quick journals that, you know, are fun. These are perfect for giving to your teachers or to a parent if you're a teacher. You know, just for your students' parents to keep their little memories from that year or whatever. You can, you know, yeah, anyway. Thanks for watching and stay tuned. 2 seconds and we'll make one. All right, we're starting with a box of crayons, obviously. Right now it's the perfect time to buy these because at Target, in most stores, they're 50 cents for the 24 pack. So I'm just going to take these out. I donated my crayons to my church's children's program, so they had nice new crayons. And we don't keep them in the box at church, so that was perfect. If you have a grandchild you can give them to, great, or you can donate them to schools, I suppose. I would think. So I'm going to be, first thing I do is cut down this left side here, or you can cut here, but I just go up right down the seam and then go ahead and open this up, flatten it out, and grab your paper trimmer or your scissors depending on how straight you want this to be. And I'm just going to, oops, let's pull this out a little bit so you can actually see. I'm just going to line it up and trim this off here so it's nice and even on the bottom. And then I'm going to turn it. I'm going to cut this off here. I'm going to go ahead and trim this up because I'm going to use this for a belly band. There's that, and then we'll turn it this way and cut off the top bits. And this is ready for the next step, but I'm going to trim this part up because I'm going to use this as another belly band. Sure it's straight. It's a little bit difficult with this. Probably need to use the scissors, but I think I can get it. There we go. And I've noticed this is a little bit too wide, so I just took my scissors, or you can use it this way too, probably easier, and I just trimmed it down to the crayons there, and that makes the perfect width on the page. So that's ready to go. The rest of that is all trash, or recycle, I guess. And move on to the next step. Just move that out of the way. Next thing I did, and I'm going to bring us in a little closer now, I found this fabric at Walmart. It's a fat quarter. My store still has it, so you might still be able to find it, But I'm just going to cover this back. You don't have to, but I'm going to because it's got all this stuff here that's not really pretty. You could totally make a little pocket here, maybe add a sticker to cover that up or leave it, whatever, but I'm going to use this because I just think it's so cute. I'm just going to take my tacky glue and put my tacky glue all over the back here. And then just take my finger and smush it all around, because you don't want that to seep through the fabric or make like lumps there. Oops. Let's see, I'll find an edge that's not too torn. Cover this like this. I'm going to trim that off. So let's go ahead and smooth it out. And then I'm going to turn it over and we're going to trim this. Let me wipe my hand off here. Just going to go along the edge and trim this off. All right, got that on there. And I bought 2 of these fat quarters, and I haven't even opened up the second one, so totally 1 fat quarter is perfect. And this is the 20, actually I have another, it's my 22nd cover here using the same fabric, so pretty cool. And also I used this, I think no, I didn't use this on my big ones. So anyway, there's that. So now we're going to work on the inside. Now you could do this a bunch of different ways. You could totally use your fabric and cover it. I'm going to use paper. And I've got just scraps of school paper here. I think this is like I can't remember if this is an Echo Park kit or something. I don't know. But I have it. This one fits all the way. It's a little bit too wide, so I'm going to trim a little bit off. Now you can, the way I did my other books, let me show you this other cover. Oh, I didn't even finish this one, so never mind. The other books, I cut each section because I didn't have enough of this to do all the books. I wanted to make them the same. So I cut an inner part for the spine and then a piece for the front and back cover. So they're separate, so you can see the inside of the Crayola box there. If you wanted to, like I'm doing here, I may just do that because it's a lot easier than trying to fold this all correctly and get it sewn. So I'm just going to show you how I did it on the other ones I made. So I'm just going to use my pencil and line this up here. And we're going to mark it where I need to cut. And then do the same for the height of the book here. So I'm going to trim that first and then we'll do the other 2 parts. Oops. So trim it there. And then trim that little bit off. I should have left it left the other piece on there, but anyway, it's a little bit. So I'll go ahead and trim off that little bit on this one. Okay. May need to trim a little bit more off there. So let's do the back. Just line my back up with this. Mark it. Still just a tiny bit too long there, so I'm just gonna cut off just a little tiny sliver and then trim this. And then you're left with your piece for your center, and it's a little bit too wide, so I'm gonna trim that a little bit. All right, got our pieces. Line that up there, and then the center piece gets glued in here. So I'm going to go ahead and glue all these in. First, before we do that, before we glue it in, we need our ribbon. I have this ribbon from Hobby Lobby. It's this brand, Merchant 411. They have this size and they have the fatter size. They didn't have any more of the fatter size when I went and got this. So some of my books have the fatter ribbon on the cover and some have the skinny one. Both of them are just as nice. And I've made mine about a foot long. So I'm just going to, this is a good length to me. I kind of eyeball it. I'm going to cut that. And then cut this in half. Like that. And we're going to glue those in first before we put our pages on. So make sure your print is down, because when you close it, you want the print to be on the outside. So I'm going to put in the center a little bit of glue there, and then glue that. And then just make sure it wasn't really in the center. Make sure that's where you want it to be. Just kind of marking with my finger to put the other side, because you want them to line up. So I put my glue down, I'm putting my ribbon, it's about a ½ inch there. And then close it, just not touching, but close it just to make sure you have it lined up. Whoops, and this one's moving, so you just kind of want to be careful that they're straight. And that's pretty even, so just make sure they're straight, and look, it keeps moving. Okay, you gotta let them dry, gotta be patient, and not try to rush. Okay, there we go. Now I'm gonna take my paper and put some glue on the back. This is a cardstock, so it's pretty good. I don't think I need to smush it around. I'm also going to be sewing this, not on camera, but I'll show you one of the other books that has it sewn. So I'm going to put this down. But this just helps it stay in place while you're sewing. And when I sew, I use a regular needle with regular thread. I put it on a zigzag stitch, and I bump it up to like 3.5 on the, I guess it's the length of the stitch. Okay, I'm going to glue this on the spine. And I've never had any problems. I've had my sewing machine for many years now. I'll try and link the one I have. It's a Brother Project Runway, not a very expensive one. The original one that I had was that same one that I bought at Walmart. And then during COVID, I'd had that first Brother I'd had for years, and it just kind of gave out after a while. So during COVID, I was still, you know, working on my journals and things. There wasn't anywhere I could go to take it to get it fixed. So I ordered another Brother on Amazon, the Project Runway one. I think it was a different model number, but I really liked that one, and I've had that one ever since. So it's a nice kind of affordable sewing machine to use. Okay, gluing the back in. I've got some marks here. I'm gonna erase those. My eraser. Okay. Now I'm going to go over to my sewing machine and sew this. And like I said, just a rickrack stitch all the way around. Now if you wanted to, you could stitch this or do it like that for all of them. But on the ones I did, I just did it around the whole thing, and then I added some rickrack along here. So that's what I'm gonna go do and come right back. All right, so I have it stitched. Just like that, super simple. And then I'm gonna use this rickrack. I didn't have any more of the tiny, so I'm just using what I got here. So I'm just gonna put a line of my tacky glue down the edge here. And put my rickrack down. Trim that. Just trimming some of my threads there. Okay, so I have this. I can use this on one of the pages. Alright, so that looks like that. Now for the front, actually let's do the inside first. I have made little pockets with scraps of paper, and I did this, these are the pockets I used in my other little books. So I just had scraps of paper, I glued them together. Now you could have sewn this, but I'm just going to glue it in. And these are the stickers from Amazon. So I'm just going to put glue on 3 sides. Glue that down. And do the same with this. That. Turn it over, and for the, I'll show you the little chalkboard. So there's that little chalkboard. These are from Dollar Tree. They are the chalkboard tag clothespins. They come in a 4-pack. They have the square, and then they also have the fancy edge. I like the square ones the best. So with these, you need to remove the clothespin from the back. So the easiest way to do that is to use your hair dryer. First I take the top part off. You just kind of twist it and it takes that out. And then I'm going to go use my hair dryer, and you blow it on there as long as you can handle the heat. If you have a heat gun, that's good too, but that's really, really hot. But what you're wanting to do is heat up the glue. It's like a hot glue that they've used on here. You heat it up and then twist it off. So let me go get my hair dryer and show you how to do that. Alright, got that off finally with the heat gun. Now I have this is like a craft nail file thing that I've had forever. I'm just gonna sand the glue part off there so it's smooth on the back. I need it just enough so that it's pretty flat when you glue it on the cover. There, that's good. So just wipe that off. All right. Go in a little bit so you can see and I'll go back in a second. So I have this apple punch. It's an old one, Marvy. And I have some red scrapbook paper, so I'm going to use that to punch an apple for the front. These are the harder ones to punch, so I just kind of do it that way. Alright. I'll try and find a similar punch if I can. So this one, we're going to glue the apple on the side here. And then I have these buttons. These are also from Hobby Lobby. And it says $3.49, but they're actually 99 cents. They're on sale. It's one of those always on sale things. So we'll pick a blue one this time. And we need to cut off the shank on the back. So I'm going to use my wire cutters. It's probably not the best thing to use, but these are old, so just cut it off like that. I'm going to use the nail file again, or not nail file, but this craft file, and file down the little nubs there, because we're going to be gluing this on too. You can also use a little knife, like a detail, what do you call them? Not a box cutter, but one of the smaller ones. Kind of slice that off. I think that's almost there. Might be easier to maybe do it this way. think that's good. Okay, so that will be glued there and that there. Before I do the gluing though, I want to draw my letters on. I have this Craft Smart chalk marker, and this is the kind that doesn't wipe off, so it's kind of a permanent, or it may with water, but it stays, I mean, it stays unless you wash it off, I guess. And it's not going to smudge or anything, that's what I'm saying. Shake this up. I'm going to practice because I did all the other ones, but I just want to make sure. So that's, if I do it at an angle, this is a pretty big tip, so if you have a smaller one, that would be better, but I think this is fine. Okay, it's coming out pretty good, so I'm going to go over here. I'm going to kind of keep it over at the top left. So I just do A, B, and C like that. Really cute. And then we'll go ahead and glue our embellishments. So I'm just going to use my tacky glue again. And then put my glue on the back of the crayon. There we go, really cute. Just kind of adjust it where you want the pieces to lay. I think that looks good. And then what I did with this was I covered up this part that says made with solar power, and I also covered up preferred by, and then I just left the teacher's part. So I'm going to put, and this kind of goes off. I'll show you here if we put it this way. So I lay it, I want the crayons to show like that, so it kind of goes off the edge at an angle. So let's go ahead and put our glue on there. I'm going to leave this little corner because the glue is not going to be on the book. Put it down like this. Just like that. So cute. I love it. Alright, so we're going to let that dry over here. I'm going to tie it together so it doesn't try and flop open. Oops. Guess I need to tie it in a bow. Okay. There we go. Let's pull out a little bit now. We're going to start working on the pages. And I'm just going to show you one signature. I'll show you what I'm like all the signatures, but I'm going to show you just one on how to put it in the spine, and then I'll show you the completed after that. So, if that makes sense. I'm doing 3 signatures, so each of my signatures will have a cover page, which I use scrapbook paper for that. So I have these sheets here. This is going to be my inside pocket, and I am going to be sewing this together. But I just want to show you how I assemble or choose my pages. So this one, this is like a double-sided, it has this really cool manuscript on that side. So, or yeah, chalkboard writing. And then I want that to be a pocket in there. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue, but I am going to be sewing, but just so you can see. And this will help me when I go to sew just a tiny bit here. Not going overboard, just to hold it in place. And then I have this paper and this paper. I believe these are from Hobby Lobby. This was a Echo Park, I think. But these will be sewn together like that. And I'll make side pockets. And then these two will be sewn together, and I will make top pockets. So this will be my outside. So I'll go ahead and fold that. And then that's my inside. Like that. I like to use my circle punch and make little half circles. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So that's at the pockets are at the top on this page. That'll go like that. And then on this one, I'll do the sides. So I'll just punch those. Okay, so I have my 3, and then the rest of my pages are all the different book pages, the lined pages. I have a red dyed paper. I have a library Dewey Decimal card thing from the little drawers, and I cannot remember for the life of me what that was called. It was like leaving my brain right now. I have a little tiny lunch sack. It was longer, but I cut it down. So all of my pages, well, almost all of them, most of them are 5.5 wide because the book is 2 3/4, so you double that. And then 3 3/4 tall. So anything bigger than that, I cut down to that size. If I had something smaller, then it fit. So I'm going to show you one signature. Well, first I'm going to divide them. And let's see, I'm going to decide here what... I think I might have this be my first signature because I kind of like the combination with the plaid that's already in there. So, and then I'll make that my second signature. But let's go ahead and divide these papers out. So I have a book page. This is a little bit longer, but I'm going to fold it in thirds so it has a little fold out. So book page, book page, book page. And then I think I have 3 more book pages. So I have these workbook pages, workbook, and little book page. Then I have, let's see, I have a dictionary page, so I'll divide that out. This is a little memo page, it's kind of cute. And then a vintage ledger book page. I have another dictionary page, put that in a different spot, that ledger page, and the lunch sack. I have the Crayola page that I showed you I made out of the Crayola labels. I just mounted it on this paper. So put that there, and then I have my library card, and then I have dyed paper, so I'll go there. I have this nameplate piece, doily, and lined paper, and then I have 3 more papers here. So I'll put a red line to there. This is a blue and white. Actually, I'll trade, so I have this in between. And then that will go there, another ledger paper. So these are all divided. I'll go ahead and I'll use this one for the first. So I'll show you how I put this together. I won't go through all of these signatures. I'll just show you how I do one and then come back with it, you know, with it completed. So I'm just going to fold these in half. This was already folded. Hopefully you can see that. Get that out of the way. And then I said this is longer, so I'm just going to it should be wide enough, and then this will go in like here. Might have to trim a little bit off this. Let's see. Yeah, I'll line the crease up with 5.5 and trim that. Actually trim it a little bit shorter just so it's not too bad. Okay. So fold that and like that. So when you open the page, it'll just kind of open up like that. I think that's the right height. Yeah. Okay. So I'm going to start with my scrapbook page. Then I like to use a vintage book page there. And then maybe go in with some lined paper, kind of alternating here. I'll do the book plate or nameplate, dictionary page, the library card, that, and then our last little workbook page. So that's all together like that. And now I'm going to take some paper clips. Let me grab them. Well, I have one. So I'm going to put this one here. I'm just putting the paper clips down near the spine. Make sure you've got all your pages lined up tight there. And we'll put one on the other side there, and then one here and one here. So there's our signature. Now I'm going to show you how to sew this in, but then I'm going to take it out because I'm going to do the sewing and, you know, like the decorating and everything later on. And that's like whatever you want to do. Sew on your trims and everything on the side. So hopefully this is, I think this is dry enough. Yeah, it's pretty good. So we need to get a paper piercer. I have this one. I do have a book binding kit in my Etsy or my Amazon storefront, and I'll try and put a link for that down below. So I'm just going to take this and poke a hole in the center. Now if you want to make a template with a piece of paper, you can do that, but I'm just going to eyeball this. I'm going to go about 1/2 inch in on each end and poke a hole. And same on this side. And then we're going to line it up, and we can make little circles with our pencil. So we're going to line this up with the spine, and let's see, we want to find the center here. There's the center, and then I'm gonna go halfway from the left side of my spine and go in the center of the two of your center dot and your left spine, and then do the same on the other side. Make a dot in the middle of your back crease and your middle, and it's a little down, but it'll even out here. So now I'm going to pierce those little dots. Because we're putting 3 signatures in here, so we pretty much divided up our spine into 4 little sections, but 3 sets of 3 dots for the signatures. So I'm going to line this up again and go ahead and put my dot, do it with the center dot here. There we go. Just want to make sure that dot's in the center there. I did have a template when I did my 20 books because I just wanted it to go really quick. But I'm not doing it right now. I guess I'm being lazy, but you don't have to be lazy. Okay, so I've got the rest of my dots. Just go ahead and poke those in. Okay, so my holes are ready. Now we need some twine. I have red and white twine. This is from Michael's. But you can get it at Dollar Tree. I just couldn't find the red this time. And then I have this little thing of embroidery, or the bookbinding needles. It came in the kit with the paper piercer, so it has a giant needle, but you can use embroidery needles. So this is a new roll, and I gotta find the end here. Oh, there's right there. This is pretty thick. Might be okay. Let's see if I can get it through the hole. Got part of it through the hole. There, got it. Okay. So my rule of thumb is when I do my journals, I want my thread for my signature to be 3 times the height. But since this is short, I'm going to go like 6 inches 3 times. So 1, 2, and 3. That just gives me plenty of wiggle room when I'm trying to get it through the book. And then I can just trim it off what I don't need. So I've got it through the needle. I have a little bit of a tail. You don't put a knot or anything in this because we'll be tying it up. What we want to do is start with the center. Go right down the center of your signature. And this is going to be the first signature, so it'll go through the center of the first line of holes there. Pull that. This is really thick. Nope, got it through that there. Okay. Oops. Okay. And you'll want to leave about that much hanging out there. And then you're going to go through either the bottom or the top hole. And back through the same coordinating hole of your signature. And there we go. Go back in. So you're going to pull that through. Make sure you get that little tail out. Oops. There we go. And then now you're going to go all the way to the other end, that hole there, and put it in through the corresponding hole on your spine. Pull that through. Still there. Okay, now you're going to go down through the center again, and let's see how this works with this thicker twine. I didn't have a thinner twine at Michael's. I don't know about Hobby Lobby. I should have checked at Hobby Lobby. So I went through my center and then go through the center hole of your signature. Sometimes this is the trickiest part. Hopefully you can see that. And sometimes this is hard. Oh, I got it through. Good. Okay, so I got it through there. Sometimes it's hard for me filming because I'm farsighted, so it's, well, right, I'm nearsighted, but starting to be farsighted, so eventually I'm going to have to wear reading glasses, but right now I'm almost at that, almost there, but not quite. Okay, so I'm going to pull this through, and then I can take my needle off, and, oops, just need to adjust it here. I think my book is a little bit short, so I think I'm going to have to cut my pages down just a tiny bit, because when I trimmed it, I didn't quite trim it at the 3 3/4. So I'm going to have to do that, but I'm still going to show you this here. So to finish off this pamphlet stitch, you've got your two ends, you got the centerpiece, and you want your two ends to be on either side of that center part. And then you want it to be tight. It's tight. Now I'm going to do a knot, and you can double knot it. I usually just do one knot because that gets really tight, and then I do a bow. Or you don't have to do the bow and just do a double knot, whatever. That's what I do, and I kind of pull it so these are a little bit longer, and I leave that. And that is sewing in a signature. It's not too bad. And it's actually easier with these smaller books because it's just easier to handle than the bigger books. Then you just take out your paper clips when you're done sewing all 3 of them in there. So yeah, pretty cool, but I am going to take these out. I'm going to trim all my papers down, but you've got the gist on this. I'm going to show you again the finished product, how they're all 3 in there, like that. Did my sewing around, added my rickrack and the embellishments on the front, and then added all the goodies on the inside. So yeah, hopefully you stuck around to the end. Let me know, like, if you're going to plan on making one of these, or if you're going to head over to my Etsy shop and check it out. I'm just so happy that you came to watch my video and that I inspire you. So thank you. Yeah, so give my video a thumbs up, leave me a comment, and subscribe if you're not subscribed. And yeah, check me out on Instagram. I'm at Creative Crafticality over there. I give little sneak peeks and little short videos sometimes. And yeah, I'll see you again next time. This is Kim with Creative Crafticality. Bye. God bless.